welcome. I'm Sarah Lerma-Lo. This is Let's Do It Anyway, a channel created by rebels for rebels like you in business and in life. And today I have Jonathan Lowe with me. Sir, welcome.
Thank you, Sarah.
Today I want to talk about LinkedIn, right? We have started really working on our LinkedIn strategy in the past couple of years, and I think that we both have seen many changes. You sold LinkedIn to me because I wasn't a believer. Someone was saying that LinkedIn was like walking into a huge networking event that literally has every single person you can think of, right? It's like you got invited to this free networking event where the leaders of your industry are in, you know, like every top voice in whatever it is you do, every person you want to meet, every mentor you would like to have.
First, get at least 500 connections. And it sounds kind of daunting, but you can think about your teachers, your peers, if you do any like community service or work with folks within your community, as well as like if you do internships. So it's the reason why 500 plus connections is really important. It's kind of like a signal that your profile is serious, right? And your secondary, tertiary connections will help you find those opportunities that you're looking for. You know, of course, like your first-hand connections will open up some doors, but it's really like the secondary and tertiary opportunities. And
another very interesting thing are recommendations, right? So not only you have connections, but you can also get recommendations. They will validate what you're saying you can do or you're good at. But what happens, again, if you're starting out or if you're like pivoting from one industry to another and you don't really have someone to recommend you yet, like on those skills that you are acquiring or just acquire, it's better not to do it, in my opinion, or to get like too many people just saying stuff that's not really that valuable per se.
I would be kind of careful and mindful of this one, right? So like when you go and say, tell your classmate or your peer, hey, write me a recommendation and I'll write you a recommendation. That kind of seems kind of weird when someone looks on your profile and you see someone write you a recommendation and they kind of like follow the trail and they go to their profile and they see you write them a recommendation. It does show a little bit like, I guess, initiative to get your profile more legitimized, but also it kind of shows like that kind of quid pro quo type of situation. So I would try to be mindful of that.
Why would people even want to connect with you? So think about it, when people come to your profile, we tend to think of it as a resume of like people just print out your resume and they're reading through it. But more than that, it's more like a landing page, in my opinion, where you get to sell and funnel in whoever you're trying to reach for exactly what you're trying to sell. Whether it's you're looking for a job or you're looking to hire someone or you're selling a service or you're selling a product or looking for a mentor, like I said, you need to funnel those people in through that landing page.
One profile photo, you want to make your best foot forward about who you are in terms of your headshot. So you want to have your headshot very centered, not too big, not too small, just like a good ratio. Hire something that is appropriate for your industry. I guess that would be the best advice.
So you have your name, you have your photo. Obviously, you need to make sure that it's very clear, right? That there's no stuff in the background. Preferably, don't make it a selfie. Like, you just want to make it, as you said, like business casual, not too professional. But just make sure people can take you seriously with that photo. Like, definitely don't use the one you use for Tinder, right? That's also not gonna be good for Tinder if you use the one you use for LinkedIn. So it's just like keep them separate. And then under your name, you have space to do like one or two lines.
This is your opportunity to kind of give them your like kind of what's called like an elevator pitch, you know, like 60 seconds. And so you'd be like, hey, like this is what I'm doing, this is what I did do, and then this is what I'm looking for. So those are the kind of three narratives I would provide in there to just kind of give someone a bottom line up front about you.
So what a lot of people do on this one is that they do what their position is, what company, and just basically what their current goal is. And on the banner, a lot of people make the mistake of just leaving it blank, and it's just yet another space where you can just validate what you are trying to sell or what you are trying to let people know about yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing about the header is like, it's your opportunity to kind of be found through the rows of the results. And so I wouldn't get too novel with it, but also could really stand out for the audience.
Another really cool feature is that it lets you like pin links or articles that you wrote on top, right? So you're gonna see a header, you're gonna see a photo, about section, and the next thing are gonna be just like 2 or 3 things that you can pin there.
Articles, as you mentioned, or anything that you're interested or have like responded to will pop up in those like activities space.
And it's interesting you mentioned articles because some experts on LinkedIn, optimization talk about everyone should be writing articles, which of course is made very easy with AI. which is a whole other thing on itself,
Yes,
because you need to make sure like your voice is in it. You can use AI to help you make sure it's polished, but it has to be your own ideas at the end of the day. But what I'm getting at is that a lot of people say that everyone should be writing on LinkedIn very often. But again, you're like, hey, I don't think I'm an expert. Like, I'm new to this, or I just got this job. So like, with what authority am I going to be posting?
Do you agree that you should be more active on your LinkedIn to kind of have that presence and build up that kind of trend of basically your online voice within your sector, if you will? And even if you're kind of new at it, you kind of interesting to see the progression of someone who just is starting out, to kind of see from their lens how they're learning their journey and how they're kind of learning this information. One section that's really important is the like skills or attributes section. Think of it as like a tag to your profile. You want to associate certain skills or again attributes to yourself, and you get 50 of them, and 3 of which you can highlight, and then through your network can endorse them.
Makes your profile very searchable.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, as you say, like you can highlight 3, but all the other ones are just there, like in the insides of your profile for when someone is literally searching for someone with your skills and your experience.
Yeah. So just think about someone literally on a search bar.
At the end of the day, like LinkedIn is becoming more and more a social platform. So it's not as strict per se in what it's acceptable to post like before. Like at this point, I feel like even a meme goes, right? Like as long as it's like related to like the work environment, and even more so if it's like very niche to what you're doing and who you're looking for. Like that's just a really easy, friendly way to start conversation. And you can also do polls, right? You can also share what you're learning. You don't have to be like, hey, I'm the expert, but you can be like, hey, for everyone else interested in this, I found this article which was very helpful, and here's A, B, and C items that I found very valuable, right? So then you're already like maybe not adding value, but at least sharing it.
Yeah, section outside of like your activities, of course, is your actual experience. And you can, it's not just like, hey, you started at this company, this was your role, and then this is either your present position or past experience, but you can also tag skills or attributes to yourself, to those experiences, and pin media to it.
When it comes to connections, really don't be scared to just like friend request or connect anybody. And I actually would like to share a story of how I got my connections ranked up, but I would like it better if you told it, I think.
When Sarah and I first met, I was sharing and telling her how important LinkedIn was and that she should have one. And given Sarah was on more active on other social media, she didn't really see kind of the allure or the significance of LinkedIn. So we basically had a little funny, we call it wager, and she had just started. I had at the time maybe like 1,200 connections.
We were trying to get to 3,000, and I had like 16 or something.
Yeah. And so from there, the wagers basically had to get a tattoo of the other person. Not picture, but kind of just that tattoo.
A tattoo of their name.
And she just went on this manic period to connect with everybody she knew in the past and their connections. And then she basically blew me out of the water. Got 3,000 connections before I got there. I think I got to about 2,500. And so I lost the bet, basically. And I was supposed to get this tattoo. I still haven't gotten it. I'm working on it.
It's his first. So I understand, you know, like you need to, it's like jumping in cold water. Right, so fun fact about adding people like that, to your point, I started already adding people I knew, and then it shows a second and third connection. So it's just real simple. Second connection is someone who is friends on LinkedIn with someone who's already added to contacts, and third is like 2 people away, right? So I just started adding all the second tier people, and they will all accept me because they saw like, oh, you know, like she's friends with my friends or whatever. So like that brings you like some social proof per se. But then it started becoming funny to me because you get to add 100 people per week. You have the free plan. So I will obviously run out of people really fast, right? Of people that I knew personally or have met. So I just started sending random invites to like people I thought like was funny. So like governors of different states or like CEOs of very important global companies. And to my surprise, they will all accept my connection. And I have had so many interesting conversations, like, for example, with authors of books I was reading. I will read a book that's like a bestseller globally, and then I will look for the author, add him, and just send a message and be like, hey, I really appreciate this like specific thing that I learned, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up actually having like very awesome like video calls with many of these best-selling authors giving me advice for my business. So like it's really that easy. So it feels weird. It seems like they're not going to want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna say? Like, this is so weird. Am I doing cringe? Like, is this stalking? And a lot of us are gonna feel like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting that you have a story from the other perspective, and you have this person, this younger guy, reach out to you about his business, and basically you ended up becoming his mentor of sorts.
Reached out to me and was like, hey, how's it going? I see that, we went to the same school, and we both are kind of working within the startup space. From there, he just basically just kept on asking a few questions to kind of get my perspective on, from a financial lens, about startups and how he should try to approach things. And later on, he decided to pivot, make a career pivot, and join the military as well. And given my background being a vet, I helped kind of give him expectation. We still communicate back and forth. And that's just one example of someone reaching out for a little bit of like mentorship. And I'm always happy to kind of, answer based on my own experiences or provide my kind of perspective on things. Not to say everything I have to say is the correct way to do it, but it's an additional data point for somebody out there. You're going to reach out to somebody, try to be genuine, align your message with something that's interesting or would be interesting to them. It may not necessarily like you want to come across you're trying to take value, but maybe add value. Like, hey, I want to connect with you. I think, it's really interesting. You work in X space, and then here's an article or something that I thought that you might be interested, or what are your thoughts about this article? And open that conversation rather than like, hey, let's connect, and can you give me a job?
It's very important to provide value versus just like asking for something, right?
Yeah.
And also because every single person that you're going to add is not necessarily someone who's going to be able to like give you a job or I don't know, refer you to someone. But you still want to make those connections because they're going to be very valuable down the road. And the other thing is, once you add this person, then what, right? So personally, if you have a goal you're working on, if you are building up your LinkedIn and your network, or you're looking for a job again, I will spend like 10 to 20 minutes a day to like on the newsfeed commenting and just providing some opinions or asking questions on whatever it is the connections you already have are posting, and chances are you're going to get discovered by other people through that.
Yeah, to your point, like keep your network fresh, right? Like don't just connect with, it's tough, especially when you start getting up to the thousands of connections. Like, comments, and maybe like DM with an article, just maintaining that rapport, if you will, is definitely critical. One thing I want to add is if you're first starting out, I think it really is very helpful if you can find all the recruiters within the industry you're looking for to get into and just connect with them and just message those recruiters and just be like, hey, tell them how you're interested in either role, company, and build that conversation, because at the end of the day, if you're showing that initiative with the recruiters, I think you'll be in the back of their mind, and it'll probably increase a higher success rate of finding whatever position of